uploaded at roughly 10 a.m. Kuwaiti time on the morning of Sunday the 27th of October on foodiebeauty's community page. I want to properly explain, now that I am calm and not emotional, my actions the other day for becoming a FFG the way I did. After this, I don't want to hear about her or speak about her publicly. If I deal with her in any way or her channel, it will be kept private on my part. I was asked what triggered this horrible response from me, and it was a mix of things. I have to preface by saying that me becoming so enraged and resorting to saying these words would never just come out of nowhere. Just like with Cuba rage, I have to be pushed by some form of abuse for a while. In the case with FFG, someone messaged me and sent me a clip of her calling my dad a paedophile and that my mum was a victim of him. I think she was defending Yaba, but her ex literally was a convicted one. Big difference. Of course, this is untrue since my mum was 17 and my dad was 18 at the time of my birth. That got me thinking how she has, on different occasions, called my mother a whore and bashed my family on a regular basis. I remembered in that moment also how she cackled with Shannon about my aunt and calling her Uncle Phil. I remember her using my mum's and my aunt's pictures in her thumbnails in degrading and insulting ways to try and hurt me. Combine that with constant, everyday abuse over and over and over and over, with the doxing of my husband's entire family and my father and 2 young child brothers, and I saw red and just wanted to hurt her back in any way possible, especially when it came to her family, like she has been doing to mine for entertainment for years. I weaponized the death of her mother because I wanted to hurt her badly in any way. It was low, yes, but the worst part of all of this, and I can't believe I'm admitting to this, but I don't feel anything when it comes to her. I'm incapable of feeling any remorse or empathy for her or anyone she loves. I know it's bad, but it's the truth. I have so much love for my family, the few good friends I have, other innocent people, my beezers, and anyone except for her. Even other people who have been mean towards me on this platform. But she has taken this to a whole different level of torment and cruelty. She has stalked me, she has come for my family many times, and I just had it. Anyway, I just wanted to explain this further and for a final time. Maybe one day I will deeply regret it, but that time is not now. Now, one thing you can guarantee on, for sure, if you are a betting person, is that a narcissist will never admit to being wrong unless them being wrong is because of something else somebody did to them. So they would say, yes, I did behave in this really awful, disgusting, revolting way, but it was because somebody else was equally as revolting and disgusting to me first. Does that sound familiar? Let me give you an example from my personal experience of being in a long-term relationship with what turned out to be a raging narcissist. My husband once followed me from room to room to room, throwing me against walls and wardrobes, holding me by my throat, pushing me down on chairs, twisting my fingers and my arms, because, and I quote, I was being a bit of a cunt. What did I do that was so horrible that made him behave that way? I had eaten some chocolate to excess because I have a binge eating problem. I then decided to tackle this problem by sealing the box of chocolates shut. Box of chocolates he had given me for my birthday. When he found during the night he couldn't open them, he got a bit annoyed. When I told him why I had sealed them, he got even more angry and said I should have told him these things before we got married, which I had. This then escalated to another argument, which ended up with me having a big bruise on the back of my head, a bruise on my jaw, and a broken finger. It was my fault. He hurt me. My fault. He was not wrong. It wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been such a cunt. So when you read or listen to Foodie's community post, you will see she claims she would not have reacted this way if it hadn't been for the way that she had been abused by FFG. Now, I take a lot of offence to Foodie using the word abused. Abused implies that on a certain level that it was one-sided. Harassed? Yes. Bullied? Yes. Abused? No. Now, Cuba, the Cuba rage, Foodie likes to blame all the foul and disgusting things that came out of her mouth that were formulated by her brain that nobody had forced her to say, down to 1, the abuse from Nader and Didi, and 2, alcohol. Now, the fact of the matter is, I am not going to talk about the relationship she had with Nader. I would like to argue that Didi didn't abuse Foodie. Didi was also a victim of abuse from Nader and was coerced the same way you were, Foodie. But I digress. Alcohol is not an excuse. Alcohol reduces inhibitions. There's a phrase that says, if you want to know the truth, ask a drunk person or a toddler. And you, Foodie, are both. Every vile and revolting thing that came out of your mouth, regardless of the fact that you were drunk, is what you were thinking and how you felt. The only thing, actually there's nothing that excuses it, because you were telling your truth, just as you were telling your truth this time round, without even having alcohol as an excuse. You're not being abused by FFG. You're being bullied and harassed. You're not a victim of FFG either, because both of you are perpetrators here. Both of you. At the very, very, very beginning, one of you was the victim for a bit. But then that person, whichever one it was, because I'm not going to go into the law or to speculate, because I don't know enough, but for a second, one person was the victim. But then that one person clapped back. And at that point, both of you became perpetrators. There are no victims here apart from the innocent people around you. You were not made to say these things because of how somebody's treating you. Nobody makes you do anything. Stop pretending to be a victim. Stop acting like a victim. You are not a victim. You are a vile person speaking your truth. It's not like you've been kidnapped, tied up, been threatened with a knife, held to ransom and made to read a script. Nobody wrote those words down for you to say. This came from up here, your brain. This is what you feel. This is your genuine, legitimate feelings. And you can say all you want to all the things that FFG has done to you. And suddenly everything that you've done is gone. I wouldn't have done these things if they didn't do these things first. Well, even if FFG did these things first, doesn't mean you had to do those things back. It's called free will. It's called self-control. It's called being a fucking adult. This could have been over before it even started. You are equally to blame. Equally. You are both acting appallingly. Just because somebody says something awful to you doesn't mean you have to say something awful back. Grow up. This is not kindergarten. Ma'am, so-and-so called me a doo-doo head. So what? Somebody called you a doo-doo head doesn't mean you are one? No. Does their opinion actually matter? Because apparently FFG's opinion of you really matters. Do you know what you've done? Do you know what you've done? You have made FFG the single most important person in your life. And then, because you couldn't even let it drop in your final message, you then dehumanize her by saying that she is the only person on the entire planet you have no feelings for whatsoever. As I said, FFG is the single most important person in your life. You think about her daily. Daily. Your life revolves around FFG. Just as FFG has you on her brain pretty much constantly as well. Must be so much fun inside your head to be so obsessed about somebody who apparently you don't care about whatsoever. Can you see how idiotic that is? When you don't care about anybody, you don't think about them. They don't take up any space in your brain. There are worse things than hate. Indifference. Indifference means that person means nothing to you and cannot touch you because their opinions are so unimportant. And FFG is not that for you. Now, I am sorry and I apologise to everybody that I have gotten. This is my version of angry. But as somebody who has been abused by another person, I am furious that you would use that word. I could say especially because you claim to have been a victim yourself. But I'm not going to disregard that. But as a victim yourself of legitimate abuse, how could you just throw that word around as if it's just some internet beef? How can you compare actual abuse to some annoying twit on the internet? You have made many people's genuine trauma into something trivial, and I am annoyed. Way to represent. So no, foodie, it's not abuse. It's bullying, it's harassment, it's deplorable, it's inexcusable, it's nasty, it's juvenile, but it's not abuse. Stop shitting on people who have actually been abused. No, actually, you want to call it abuse? Then you have to admit you're an abuser too. Do you consider yourself one? Because if you don't, then nor is FFG. Anyway, I apologise. I'm sure my calm disposition will come back soon. In fact, I can almost guarantee that 5 minutes after this is finished, I will be fine and dandy. I've had my say, I've had my moment, I've raised my blood pressure up a tiny bit, and now I'm just going to get on with my day and enjoy myself and walk away from it. Maybe you could learn something. Huh?